My name is OMahony. I'm the current MTU Cork Student Union President. I was elected in to represent 12,000 students last March, and I have been in the role now for 1 year. I was Vice President the year before, but I suppose it was a great achievement because I was the first woman President of the Students' Union in the last 20 years. And I suppose my campaign at the time, Mary Lou MacDonald got wind of it, so she endorsed my campaign and wished me the best of luck at the time. So it was very exciting, and I was, I suppose, a very proud woman at the time to be elected in as the first one in the last 20 years. I definitely wouldn't be in the job that I'm in today without the women that have went before me. Women that chose to challenge the status quo. I definitely wouldn't have had the opportunity to, I suppose, do third level education, go to college, get my degree. I suppose I'd probably be at home, married with kids, not allowed work because I'm married with kids if I was living back in the 1930s like women in Ireland had to do at the time. So I'm standing on the shoulders of the women that went before me, who chose to challenge, who chose to stand up for what was right, and who chose to make Ireland an equal society for both men and women. So for that I'm proud, and that's what International Women's Day means to me. I'm inspired every day, I suppose, by the strong women around me. I'm very lucky to have a nana and a granny and a mother who would always push me to take every opportunity as it comes, but also to stand up for what I believed was right. Don't just settle for the norm or settle for no, to question things. And I suppose women throughout history, in Ireland in particular, have been known to be the Irish fighters and to stand up for what they believed in. I mean, the women in the 1920s really inspire me. I suppose in around the time of the War of Independence, there was 300 women who took up arms and fought alongside the Irish men, which was unheard of at the time. I mean, in a time of war, usually the women and children are safeguarded, in some bunker somewhere. But no, these women insisted that they were going to fight too, which was just unheard of globally. So, I mean, it's those women that I'm proud of, and, they inspire me. And I suppose just going through the years, I mean, the loss of freedom for women in the 1930s in Ireland was absolutely huge. So the government brought in the marriage ban. So essentially, if you got married or had kids in the 1930s, you were not allowed work in the public sector, and you actually had to give up your job to be the stay-at-home mother or wife. Contraception was banned, divorce was banned. The government at the time were just tying the hands of women, and that only lasted so long because we are the fighting Irish women. And in the 1970s, the second wave of the feminist movement, I suppose, came along. Anti-discrimination laws came along. And this is why it's so important to have women in leadership roles, because they're shaping society for, generations to come. I mean, I have so many of the privileges today because of those women that fought before me. So, I mean, these women truly inspire me. And one story that really sticks out to me actually is the women laundry workers in Dublin in 1945 went on strike because they were overworked. They only had 1 week's holidays, and they went on strike for that second week holiday. And that's why today we have 2 weeks annual leave every year. It's because of those women who took the picket up and said, no, we're not having it. And as a result, great things happen, and that's why we are where we are today. So look, these are women who chose to challenge, essentially. And I'm inspired by them because I'm now standing on the shoulders of these women that went before me. And yes, they inspire me, and I hope that they inspire generations to come too also. So I've definitely experienced some challenges, especially in the role that I'm in today. I went, I suppose, from being a small fish in a big pond of students, 12,000 students in fact, to overnight being elected as their chief spokesperson, chief representation on so many boards and committees. At the moment, I think I sit on 47 boards in the entire college, and they're depending on me to tell them how the students are feeling about different things. So the challenge, I suppose, to find my voice at a particular time at the beginning was quite challenging, to make sure that I was putting across the right things at meetings to get over the line so that students in turn could benefit from it. So I'll never forget one in particular. I sit on a governing body, which is, I suppose, essentially the Dáil of the college. It's made up of ex-politicians, CEOs of industry, massive companies, ex-ministers of the government, and I suppose college management. And I had to find my voice as the small fish student next to the ministers with oceans of experience, highly educated people, very well spoken. And that was a huge challenge for me at the beginning. There's no denying it. However, I kind of quickly said, all right, cop on, why am I doing this? And I would bring myself back to, well, I'm doing this because 12,000 students are depending on me to get their voice across at this table, where I suppose we're the main stakeholders of the college, and without the students it would cease to exist. So I had to make sure that every student was represented on that board in particular. But one, I suppose, piece of advice that I would give anyone or any woman in leadership is to speak up. Don't be afraid. You have the same equal vote as anyone else on that committee. Your voice is valued. And I suppose you kind of learn how to overcome these challenges, and only good things come from it. Because the more you speak up, the more progress that can happen to make change for students, in my case. So I would say, be strong. If you have a passion for something and you've done your homework, go for it. And you'll be so surprised who has your back, because I learned very quickly that the student voice was very much appreciated on all of these boards and committees. And the college itself was so dependent on what the students genuinely want to see, that I felt every time I contributed, it was taken seriously, it was acted upon, and so many great changes came as a result. So it's this confidence boost that kind of drives me every day, knowing that I'm doing my job to represent all the students, but that also for all the students to come, any of the positive changes that have been made, I've been able to influence it. So I'm I suppose passionate, and I'm proud in the position that I'm in today. And I would encourage all women to take the same kind of stand and know that your voices do matter. And so yeah, that's my answer for that one.